"This is fine," said Disney as it lit the internet on fire and called it Synergy. The year is 2018. Disney animation is on top of the world. Wreck-It, Ralph was a surprise hit. Frozen is still printing money on backpacks. Moana is playing on a loop in every minivan. The studio has an Oscar shelf that looks like a safety hazard. And now, they are about to release their big sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. The pitch sounds perfect. Take the heart of the first movie and plug it into the most powerful machine on Earth, the internet. Bigger world, bigger ideas, bigger box office. Early buzz calls it clever, meta, smart about online life. Disney tells us it is a story about toxic friendship, online validation, and learning to let go. Critics clap. Awards notice. It makes more than $529 million worldwide. So why, a few years later, does it feel less like a movie and more like the moment something broke inside Disney? How did we get from "I'm bad and that's good" to "please smash that like button so the algorithm loves me"? Let's rewind. Back in 2012, the first Wreck-It Ralph felt like a miracle. A brand new Disney film that was not a fairy tale, not a princess story, not a remake. It was about a video game villain having a midlife crisis. Ralph lives in a retro arcade machine, sleeping on a dump of bricks while Fix-It Felix and the Nicelanders party in their penthouse. He hates his job, hates being the bad guy, and just wants a medal. Over the course of one movie, he meets Vanellope, a glitchy racer from Sugar Rush. They become friends, and he learns the core lesson. He does not need a medal. He does not need outside praise. He can accept who he is and still be happy. The ending line is simple and perfect. "I'm bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be than me." Roll credits. Kids cry. Adults cry. The message lands. Wreck-It Ralph also had references. Street Fighter, Sonic, Pac-Man. But they were flavor, not the main course. You did not have to know what a Koopa shell was to get the story. It felt timeless in the way Toy Story feels timeless. You could show it to a kid 10 years later, and it would still work.
My name's Ralph, and I'm a bad guy. I'm a wrecker. I wreck things professionally.
I'm gonna wreck it!
They go to their homes, I go to mine, which happens to be...
So, when Disney announced in March 2017 that a sequel was coming called Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, people got excited. Of course, if Ralph could jump game to game, imagine him jumping website to website, fan art, Reddit threads, think pieces about what Disney can say about online life. But even in that title, the shift was there. Less Ralph the character, more the internet, the brand. By July 2018, they quietly dropped Wreck-It Ralph 2 from the name. Now it was just Ralph Breaks the Internet, like Ralph was guest starring in a viral tweet. And then Disney did what Disney does now. They opened the fire hose. At D23, they show off a massive clip from a sequence called Oh My Disney. It is basically a digital Disney theme park filled with Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Muppets, and most importantly, every single Disney princess in a single room. For a hot minute, the internet loses its mind. Reaction videos, freeze frame breakdowns, people cheering that the original princess voice actors are back. It feels like fan fiction with a huge budget. The movie is not even out yet, and this one scene has more buzz than entire other animated films. From the outside, it looks like Disney is about to do something wild, self-aware, maybe even critical of its own image. From the inside, something else is happening. Because this is also the same Disney that, by 2018, owns Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and is gearing up to launch Disney+. It has become less a studio and more a content empire. Every story is also a product demo. You can see that pressure all over Ralph Breaks the Internet. On paper, the story is simple. The steering wheel on Vanellope's game, Sugar Rush, breaks. The only replacement is on eBay for $200. The arcade owner says he will unplug the game in 24 hours if they cannot pay. So Ralph and Vanellope go online through the arcade's new Wi-Fi to earn the money. In practice, that go online part turns into a 2-hour theme park ride through whatever corporate logo Disney can legally get away with. They land in a shining city of skyscrapers, each one a brand: Google, eBay, Instagram, Amazon, little avatars zipping down highways of fiber optic light to click ads and buy stuff. Ralph stumbles into BuzzTube, a knockoff YouTube. He starts making dumb videos so he can rack up likes that turn into money. Vanellope falls in love with Slaughter Race, a gritty Grand Theft Auto-style game, and a cool driver named Shank. The idea of putting cartoon characters inside the internet is not new. The Emoji Movie did it the year before. The difference is that when the Emoji Movie came out, critics dragged it for being a walking advertisement. Rotten Tomatoes scores, think pieces, YouTube essays. Everyone agreed this is what it looks like when a corporation pretends to be hip. 1 year later, Ralph Breaks the Internet does almost the exact same thing. And a lot of those same critics look the other way. The first half of the movie is basically a parade of companies, eBay auctions, pop-up ads, viral video montages that feel like a corporate social media deck. One reviewer called it pathetically contemporary and quintessentially 2018, and not in a good way. Even in theaters, you could feel it aging in real time. Memes that were already old, unboxing videos, Fortnite dances, Ralph flossing like your uncle at a wedding trying to prove he is with it. It is the kind of stuff you laugh at once and then never want to see again. Now, a few years later, those jokes do not just fall flat. They timestamp the movie like a date on a cringy Facebook post. But the real problem is not just that the references are dated, it is what they do to the characters. Remember Ralph at the end of the first film? The guy who learned he did not need a medal to feel worthy because his friends loved him? Ralph Breaks the Internet looks at that arc and says, "Cool story. What if we just undo that?" Instead of a man who has found peace, we meet a Ralph who is clingy, jealous, and kind of emotionally unstable. His whole world is his routine with Vanellope. Work in their games, hang out at tappers, go to bed. When Vanellope admits she is bored and wants something more, he freaks out. Every step of the way, the story forces him to relearn the same lesson he already learned, that he cannot base his whole self-worth on one person. There is a scene where he literally creates a virus to sabotage Vanellope's new favorite game because he is scared of losing her. It spreads, breaks the internet, almost kills her. This is not a little selfish. This is full-on destroying her dreams because he is insecure. On Reddit, fans wrote long breakdowns about how this is not just character growth, it is character regression. One popular post said Ralph acts like he has forgotten the point of the first movie. Another pointed out that Vanellope leaving Sugar Rush for Slaughter Race is basically going turbo, the one big rule of their universe that the first film treated as a huge sin. In other words, to make the sequel happen, they bend their own rules and their own character arcs until they snap. And then there is that princess scene. In the movie, Vanellope ends up in the Oh My Disney website, runs into all the Disney princesses in a green room, and the scene is kind of fun. They roast their old stories. They ask if she is okay because a man suddenly proposed to her. They put on comfy princess shirts. But here is the problem. This 2-minute slice of self-aware humor is wrapped in a much bigger layer of product placement. The whole Oh My Disney area is one giant ad for Disney's own brands, Marvel characters, Stormtroopers, Eeyore. Ralph Breaks Disney would have been a more honest title. Whatever self-awareness the princesses have never really goes anywhere. They do not change how the company writes princesses. They change into loungewear and then sell those shirts in the real world. One critic put it bluntly, any sense of satire is lost under a pile of logos. And that is the key shift. Disney has always sold products, but by 2018, the story itself has started to feel like the product. The movie is not just about internet culture. It is Disney trying to show you it understands internet culture, so you will trust Disney Plus, Disney Princess merch, Disney everything. Financially, this worked. Ralph Breaks the Internet cost around $175 million to make and made more than $529 million worldwide. It opened Thanksgiving weekend with around $84.5 million over 5 days in the United States and Canada. It got an A- cinema score from audiences. It was nominated for an Oscar. On paper, a win. But something felt off. The cultural impact was smaller. There was not a huge Ralph 2 fandom. No giant quote everyone knew. No let it go level song. The reviews were fine, but words like cash grab, passable, and less charming began to pop up in ways they had not with the first film. Industry writers started to say the quiet part out loud. While Ralph Breaks the Internet was a commercial success, it failed to make the same cultural impact as the first movie. Since then, things have not been so great, because if you zoom out from Ralph and look at what came next, it starts to look like a turning point. The following year, 2019, Disney releases Frozen 2. It makes over $1 billion. But how often do you hear people talk about it? Let It Go was everywhere. Into the Unknown was not. A lot of fans liked it. Not many loved it. Then you hit the pandemic years. Raya and the Last Dragon in 2021. Pretty original, not a huge cultural event. In 2022, Strange World flops hard at the box office. In 2023, Wish comes out for Disney's 100th anniversary and gets slammed, landing one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes audience scores for Disney animation since the early 2000s. Suddenly, the story around Disney animation is not, they can do no wrong, it is, what happened. Ralph Breaks the Internet sits right at the start of that slide. Not a disaster, but a warning sign. A film that looks like success if you only read the numbers, but feels hollow when you watch it again. And when you rewatch it now, you see three big cracks. First, the message. The movie wants to talk about clingy friendships, toxic behavior, and online validation. In theory, that is great. Kids deal with this stuff every day, but the way the film handles it is messy. Ralph is awful, then suddenly fine.
Endless piles of money to repair the super's broken public image and change the laws so that they are legal again. While his sister, Evelyn, wants to use said influence to mind control supers into doing horrible things, thus ruining their public image and ensuring that people don't put faith in them ever again. Alright.
The giant Ralph virus made of cloned Ralphs is supposed to show toxic dependence, but it is so over the top it feels like a meme, not a real emotion. Second, the world building. The rules of the arcade and the internet do not really make sense anymore. Sugar Rush is going to be unplugged in 24 hours, but the characters seem to have days' worth of adventures. Packages from eBay show up like Amazon Prime Now, which is not how eBay works. A virus that copies insecurities somehow almost deletes the whole internet. It all feels like a rushed excuse to get Ralph and Vanellope into as many online locations as possible. Third, and most important, the corporatization. Real companies, Disney properties, cameos on cameos. Even the fake sites are clearly modeled after real brands. It is hard to take a serious message about online addiction and chasing likes when the movie itself is literally chasing brand engagement. It is the rare case where the studio's marketing strategy and the character's emotional problem are the same thing. Ralph needs the internet's approval. Disney needs the internet's approval. The movie is trying to warn kids about viral fame while begging to go viral. So, what is left after the hype fades? Ralph breaks. The internet becomes less a movie about breaking something and more a movie about something already cracked. It marks the moment Disney stopped being the scrappy comeback studio of Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph and started to become the content machine everyone side-eyes now. It is the point where audiences started to ask, wait, are we watching a story or a spreadsheet? For a lot of us, Wreck-It Ralph was about finding meaning without external praise. The sequel, whether it meant to or not, feels like Disney choosing the opposite. Chasing clicks, crossovers, cameos, the kind of thing you can cut into a million GIFs, trailers, and park tie-ins. And maybe that is why Ralph Breaks the Internet is worse than you remember. Not because it is the worst movie Disney has ever made, it is not, but because it quietly showed us the future, a Disney that is technically functioning, but spiritually unplugged. Ralph learned, twice, that he did not need the world to love him to be okay. Disney, starting here, seemed to forget that, and we have been watching them wreck it ever since.